Hi, it's Colin Coward. I started The Volume to bring you some of the most authentic voices in sports. While you're here, make sure you hit subscribe. Thanks.
No, it's incredible. I mean, to see where y'all team has gone from even like when we played y'all in Boston, I think it was in December, and then when we just played y'all a week and a half ago, totally different team. And I think it all starts on the defensive end, which, like, you know when a coach is good, you can judge a coach off their team defense. Like, if a team can't defend, look no further than the coaching staff. Like coaches teach defense, and it's a sign of accountability. And just everything that it's about, it's a sign of your team's toughness, to your mental focus. Like, that's a coach's thing. And I think where y'all defense is, but more importantly, not even so much of how good it's been, but the philosophy of it. Like, that took some figuring out. Like, to figure out, we're going to start Rob and Al next to each other. This is how we're going to guard. We're going to switch 1 through 5 or switch 1 through 4. Y'all switching 1 through 5 most of the time. And then we're forcing everything to Rob at the rim. And, like, guys are overextending. Guys are pressing up and literally forcing you right into him, and he cleaning up all mistakes at the rim. Like, to get to that philosophy, it takes some twisting and turning. Like, y'all switch lineups a couple times. Like, you know, it takes some stuff to get there. And I think that's I think that's a big coaching thing and a move that they made that has changed y'all season.
No, you absolutely right. And it did. Like, we wasn't used to that at first. Like, you know, I'd be the first one to say I was a little hesitant because I'd only known one way for 4 years. And I would, you know, not last year, but my first 3 years, you know, we was always a top 5 defense. We wasn't this good, but I just was so accustomed to doing things a certain way. And I think part of growing is being open to change. And that's something that I've definitely learned this season. And, you know, it was not perfect at first, but I think once we really bought in and once we got healthy, and obviously it's been working. And I think a part of it is like, it definitely is coaching. But I think, you know, when you look at the teams that got the best defenses, like, they got guys on their team that, like, they give, we cuss on here?
Absolutely.
Like guys that, like, give a fuck on defense. And, like, you know, and, like, the teams that got the best defense, like, that's something that we, you know, hold everybody accountable from the first man to the last man. It's like, all right, we might not be, like, the best offensive team, but, like, we're going to hang our hat on this defensive end, and everybody got to pull their weight. And because if Al in year 15 is going to be switching on the guards and pressuring and things like that, then there's no excuse for, you know, somebody in their second or third year. And, you know, that's something that we just relay to everybody.
No, it's incredible. And I think, including me, I think when y'all brought Al back, everybody's like, what the hell? Like, what? Like, that, it made no sense. And then until you realize, like, JT still super young, JB still super young, Marcus Smart, he got a little more experience, but he's still young. Rob's still young. And when you put it in those terms, especially for me who's now in year 10 and understand, like, Smart right now is in a position I was in a couple years ago where we sucked, but he's kind of right in that space of, like, not quite like vet, but almost there, you know? And so bringing Al back, when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, it makes total sense because y'all needed that vet to look to, you know what I'm saying? And so I see that now, and then also the effect that he and things that he teach Robert Williams as well. And so I think that's huge. But in speaking of Robert Williams, having an incredible year, having a defensive player of the year caliber type of season. No one talks about his offense. He is one of the best passing big men in the league right now. And
Hands down.
I take that with a grain of salt because Jokic passed better than all the point guards, so we're not putting nobody in Joker category. He a little different than everybody. But
sure.
So we're going to just count Joker as a point guard. We're not talking about Joker, but just like big men who are like legit big men, don't have the ball all the time. Robert Williams is one of the best passing big men that I've seen, and no one talks about it. And I think that's a huge loss for y'all. What can y'all do to fill that role? Because there's not one guy that can do what he do to bring to that team.
Man, listen. First of all, feel terrible for Rob. Just seeing him the first day he came in and how hard he's worked and the strides that he's made to be where he's at. And it's like he's just barely like scratching the surface of like where he can get to. Like this is like his first full year, like playing, starting, like being a core part of our team and seeing where it's taking us. So I feel terrible for him because I just know that his confidence was at an all-time high. He was like really feeling good about himself. And I mean, guys like him, it's not, like you said, it's not many guys like him that pass as well as he do, extreme lob threat on offense.
Oh my goodness.
He don't need the ball and, the best defender on our team. So like, you can't replace a guy like that when he go down with an injury. But I think, it's cliche as it sounds, it's just like next man up mentality. We got to figure it out. It's 5 games left. We're going into the playoffs, speedy recovery for him. And I told him to take his time. Don't, when you feel 100%, then come back. But, we just got to try to hold it down until he does. Cause we don't have a guy on our team like, so everybody else just got to do more and step up. But, he was having an unbelievable season.
Absolutely. I mean, speaking of him as a live threat, so check this out. When we played y'all in Boston, we going through shoot around. I had been watching a couple of y'all games before, and I see this dude catch some crazy ass lobs. Speaking of which, this is the Draymond Green Show, bro. You say whatever the hell you want to say on here. That's how we rock it. We always rolling. But I see this dude catching these crazy ass lobs. I'm like, yo, this is wild. So I'm like rewinding back through it, like trying to figure out like where was the coverage messed up at? And for those that don't understand, if Robert Williams is in a drop, if a big is in a drop on a pick and roll and Robert Williams is rolling, that big is taught. So the big, when I say a drop, that means his guy is setting the screen and he's a little beneath him so the guard can't turn the corner. That's a drop. And most bigs 5-man play in a drop in the pick and roll. And you're taught as the big man to never let the roller, which would be Robert Williams, get behind you. Once you let the roller get behind you, you're dead.
It's over with.
So we're in shoot around early before the game earlier that day. It was an 8:00 game in Boston, so we had a shoot around. And I stopped the walkthrough and I'm like, fellas, listen, y'all have to understand. If you are even with Robert Williams, he's going to dunk on you. He will catch the lob on your head. I just watched him catch 3 of them on AD in one game. Mm-hmm. If you're even with, and that's AD, if you're even with him, he's going to catch it on your head, so you got to stay below him. And I'm like animated. I'm telling them and everybody like, all right, got it. And I get in the pick and roll, and now I'm dropped. And I thought I was beneath him, and he still caught the lob on my head.